Many people didn't even heard of Poltergeist before 1980, when now cult movie became a blockbuster. But Poltergeist has been around for a very, very long time. Translated from German, poltergeist means noisy ghost, and through history is proven that the name cannot be more accurate. Although most of the times poltergeist is just annoying, moving things and making noises. Sometimes it can be very dangerous and physically can hurt a person. Nobody knows what poltergeist really is, though there are many theories from ghosts, demons to plain hoaxes. Today on our menu we have two well-documented yet still unexplained cases of poltergeist activity. There are many arguments, are those cases real? But I think it's best if you decide for yourself. Before we start, please subscribe, share and hit the like button, or objects in your room may start moving. Just saying, just saying. Rosenheim poltergeist is one of the best documented poltergeist infestations in Germany, or indeed in the world. This event took place in a city called Rosenheim in southern Bavaria, more specific in the office of a lawyer Zygmunt Adam. Starting in 1969, strange phenomena began in the office. The lights would turn themselves off and on again and swing. Telephones would ring without anybody apparently calling. Photocopy machines would spill their copy fluid, and the desk drawers would open without being touched. The Deutsche Post installed instruments to record phone calls which were never made. Within 5 weeks, the instruments recorded roughly 600 calls to the speaking clock, even though all the phones in the office were disabled and only Adam himself had the key required to enable them. In one 15 minutes period, the speaking clock has been called 46 times, sometimes at a rate that appeared impossible with the mechanical dialing system of 1967. In October 1967, old light bulbs went out with a huge bang. The police, the electric company and others tried to find an explanation for all this, for weeks until they gave up with no useful explanation. Thereafter a team of scientists, including the renowned parapsychologist Hans Bender and two Max Planck Institute physicists, began investigating the case. After installing cameras and voice recorders, they were able to discover that the events only took place when 19-year-old Anna-Marie Schneider, a recently employed secretary, was present. Bender was able to document on video how the lights immediately started to flicker once she entered the office. It was claimed that the lampshade would swing violently when Miss Schneider walked beneath it. After questioning Miss Schneider, it was discovered that she had recently gone through a serious personal relationship trauma. It was also noted that Miss Schneider suffered from non-specific neurosis. Interestingly, once she was sent on vacation, the poltergeist activity stopped. Anna-Marie Schneider was dismissed from the company when the event begins anew after she returned. There are no other records of any further poltergeist activity since then. The Rosenheim poltergeist case have become an extremely contentious issue. While some claim that it proves the existence of paranormal phenomenon, critics maintain it was set up and faked, or simply an attention-seeking prank developed by emotionally disturbed Miss Schneider. There is also no evidence on video that matches the more extreme and therefore paranormal events said to have occurred. However, the police officers present and others unconnected with the company, such as Karger and Zisha from the Max Planck Institute, did give official statements claiming to have witnessed unexplained object movements, and Anna-Marie Schneider was never actually caught faking the phenomenon. Tina Resch was a central figure in a series of incidents that came to be called the Columbus Poltergeist case. In 1984, alleged telekinesis events at her Columbus, Ohio home drew significant news media interest. A series of color photographs taken by photojournalist Fred Shannon and published by the Columbus Dispatch was purported to show Resch sitting in the armchair with a telephone handset and the phone cord flying in front of her. Resch's story and Shannon photography were featured on the 1993 episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Skeptics and debunkers pointed out that much of the proclaimed evidence was anecdotal and thin and declared the case to be a hoax. Paul Kurtz wrote that Resch was a disturbed teenager who faked poltergeist phenomena because she craved attention. Resch was married and divorced twice and had a child named Amber Boyer. In 1994, facing a potential death penalty if she agreed to go to trial before jury, Resch instead accepted a plea bargain with prosecutors to being responsible for the death of her 3-year-old daughter that had occurred while the daughter was being looked by her boyfriend, and she was sentenced to the life imprisonment. Tina Resch is adopted daughter of John and John Resch, who were physically abusive to her. The Resches were well known in Columbus, as they were foster parents who had helped care for 250 children prior to 1984. When she was 14, Tina watched the movie Poltergeist, and shortly afterward the family reported seeing objects fly around the house. Reporter Mike Harden of the Columbus Dispatch was asked to assist the family, and involved photographer Fred Shannon. The Columbus Dispatch interviewed Tina and later published several photos to show a telephone flying through the air. Parapsychologist William Roll stayed in the Resch house to investigate the case and claimed that there had been genuine spontaneous psychokinesis. Roll, however, never observed any object move by itself. In one incident, a picture fell from a wall in upstairs room where Tina had been alone half an hour before. Roll was facing away from the picture when it fell. James Randi, an investigator for the Committee of the Scientific Investigation of Claims of the Paranormal, was refused access to the household, but investigated the case and suspected Tina had faked the alleged poltergeist occurrences. According to Terence Hines, the Resch poltergeist turned out to be so elusive that no one ever actually saw a single object even start to move of its own accord. This included the newspaper photographer, who found that if he watched an object, it stubbornly refused to budge, so he would hold up his camera and look away. One of the photos obtained in this way was distributed by the Associated Press and touted widely as proof of the reality of the phenomenon. Examined closely, the photographic evidence in this case strongly suggested that Tina was faking the occurrences by simply throwing the phone and other flying objects when no one was looking. Randy's careful analysis of the other photos, many unpublished, of Tina and her flying phone strengthened the conclusion that she was faking. The editor of the Columbus Dispatch, Luke Thack, embarrassed by the revelation that he and his paper were taken by so obvious fake, refused Randy permission to print the photos he had given him earlier, in an apparent attempt to suppress the evidence of Tina's trickery and the newspaper's credibility. In a later incident, a visiting television crew left a video camera on, which caught footage of Tina deliberately knocking over a table lamp, then screaming as if in fright, an event that had previously been ascribed to the poltergeist. When confronted with the videotape, Tina claimed she had done it to get the reporters to leave. Randy characterized the situation as hoaxed by an adolescent girl seeking attention, saying, "Examination of available material indicates that fraudulent means of perfectly explainable methods have been employed to provide the media with sensational details about an otherwise trivial matter." Randy examined the roll of photos taken by press photographers and said that they showed the girl's foot hooked beneath a sofa that had moved by itself, and that the glass in the picture frame that allegedly shattered on its own while in her hands was already broken before she even picked it up. His conclusion of the case, as he reported in Skeptical Inquirer spring 1985, was as follows. The evidence for the validity of poltergeist claims in this case is anecdotal and thin at best. The evidence against them is, in my estimation, strong and convincing. Tina Resch married and divorced twice, changing her name to Christina Boyer, and had a daughter named Amber. In April 1992, at the age of 3, Amber was found dead, suspected to have been beaten to death. Boyer and David Herrin, her boyfriend of few months, were arrested and trialed for the murder of Amber. Tina was not present at the time of the death of her daughter, who had been left in Herrin's care at the time. The medical examiner at Herrin's trial testified that the cause of Amber's death was blunt force trauma she received to her head, inflicted shortly before her death, and both Tina and Herrin blamed each other for the injuries. Even as the Unsolved Mysteries segment about Tina premiered on May 19, 1993, Boyer was sitting in jail and awaiting trial. At the time, the Unsolved Mysteries segment made no mention of the criminal charges against Tina. Tina was charged with aggravated battery, and in October 1994, rather than face trial and the possibility of death sentence, Boyer agreed to plea bargain negotiated by her attorney and district attorney Peter Skandalikis. She entered a Alford plea, in which she pleaded guilty while maintaining her innocence. Tina received a life sentence plus 20 years, with the possibility of parole. David Herrin was convicted of cruelty to children and sentenced to 20 years. He was released from Dooley State Prison on November 16, 2018. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution referred to Boyer as the telekinetic mom in some of its reportings on legal issues in 1994. In 2004, William Roll collaborated with writer Valerie Stories on a book entitled Unleashed of Poltergeists and Murder, The Curious Story of Tina Resch. The book claims Tina possessed telekinetic powers and was innocent in the death of Amber. Since 2008, Boyer has been incarcerated in Polanski State Prison in Georgia. Okay, it's your turn now to leave a comment and tell me what you think about these cases, or have you ever had close encounters with the poltergeist? I would really like to know. Thank you again for stopping by, and before you leave, of course, subscribe if you already didn't, hit the like button, share the video, and if you need copyright-free background videos, subscribe to my other channel, Monarch Free Videos, as well. Link is down there. Just put the link in your description box, hit the subscribe button, and you don't have to ask for any permissions. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon.